2026, who decides you get welfare? Who decides you cross the border? Who is watching your face?
That's right, Moon. Surveillance is the new normal, watching every move, every journey, every decision you make.
Hello, my name is Moon,
My name is Isabel Martinez.
and we're gonna present AI in government, and we're gonna start with an investigation where we're gonna look in three global superpowers, which include the US, the United Kingdom, and the European Union.
That's right, Moon. These places pride themselves on democracy and freedom, but behind the scenes they are unleashing AI tools to track, score, and police their own citizens, with hardly any real oversight. The common problem these three countries have is the black box system.
Think about it like this: if a police officer arrests you, or a human administrator cuts off your family financial aid, they have to tell you why. You have rights and you can appeal. But when a government has those powers to over an algorithm, accountability completely vanishes.
Psychologists and computer scientists call this a black box system, like we said. You know what goes in and you see what comes out, but nobody knows what happens in the dark middle.
The EU, a 27 country union, work together that they use AI in a lot of places. Border control, deciding who gets government money, public safety, it's everywhere. And in 2024, they actually did something kind of historic. They passed something called the AI Act, the first very major AI law in the whole world. It sorts AI systems into three different risk levels. And if an AI is being used for things like immigration, facial recognition, or deciding if someone gets welfare payments, that counts as high risk, which means it has to go through serious checks before anyone can use it. The law also bans police from using live facial recognition in public, like they can't just scan everyone's faces walking down the street, and it bans deep faking nude images, which become a huge problem in 2026 when Elon Musk AI tool Grok generated millions of them without people's consent. But here's the thing, and that this is where it gets frustrating. The most important rules, the ones protecting people from high-risk AI, they get delayed by whole 16 months. They were supposed to kick in August 2026. Now it won't happen until December 2027. Why? Because big companies, especially from Germany, basically lobbied the EU to slow things down, and human rights groups are seriously worried that people are going to get hurt in the meantime.
In 2040 and 2020, 14 and 20, the government used an algorithm called SYRI. It gave people risk scores to figure out who might be committing welfare fraud or tax fraud. Sounds kind of reasonable on paper, right? But here's what's actually happening. The system mostly flags people in low-income areas and people with dual nationalities. And in practice, that meant it was disproportionately targeting migrants and people of color, not because they were doing anything wrong, just because of who they were and how they looked like and where they lived. Thousands of families are wrongfully accused of fraud now in Netherlands. Some had their child benefit payments stopped. People were being punished into debt. And remember, this wasn't the government, this was an algorithm. No human was looking at their individual situation. Just a computer was only saying that the person was suspicious when it wasn't even true. Eventually, in 2020, a court, the District Court of The Hague, ruled that SYRI was illegal. This was stated in EU, that it violates human rights and it wasn't transparent, and it invades especially people's privacy, and it was shut down.
So that's the situation in Europe right now. There are laws being made, but they are moving slowly. While they're moving slowly, real people are being affected.
That's right, Moon, and that's exactly why we're here today. Because we just don't want to hear from politicians or experts. We want to hear from people being affected by the government using AI. We want to see if it feels right to them for the government being under the control of AI and what is going on.
We're about to speak to someone who is actually lived through this system, and we're going to exactly ask him exactly why that's happening, stay with us.
So good afternoon. Here we are with Flores from 11th grade. So Flores, I was going to ask you some questions about the government of your country and how it's using AI. So the first question is the Dutch government, right, was secretly collecting information about where you live, where your money came from, about and many other questions, right, that you didn't know about, and using it to accuse people like you of cheating the system. Did you know about this?
No, I wasn't really aware about that. It's also kind of like shocking to expect that from the Dutch government, since it is very open about like their transparency, and no, I would not expect that from them.
And how does it feel that they're invading your privacy?
It feels kind of authoritarian in a way, since, as you know, the Netherlands is a fully developed country. Well, not fully developed, but you know, and it's also known for its democracy, and yeah, that kind of, you know.
Do you think a computer can make fair decisions about its people? A computer.
No, because it doesn't really have. I mean, it doesn't have a soul, so like they would not know you personally, so I don't think they can make a judgment based on your ethnicity or age.
Would you trust the government with or without AI?
I mean, I would trust them with usage of AI, but only if it's, how can I say this? Only if it's, if they're like, they shouldn't be using it based on stuff that you were talking about, based on, yeah, like that.
Okay.
As AI continues to cheat the system and probably will cheat the system again in the future, do you think you can do something to stop it?
I mean, me personally, I don't think I will be able to make a difference, but if, like, for example, the United Nations or just, you know, government policy itself.
Ma'am, our automated risk indicator system has flagged your household for systemic childcare benefits discrepancies. Your financial assistance is suspended immediately, effective today.
Wait, what? Why? What did I do wrong? I filed all my paperwork on time.
The algorithmic score indicates a high probability of non-compliance. You owe the state 25,000 euros
That algorithm. Let me see the files. Show me the proof.
payable immediately. The system profile is confidential. Have a nice day.
So, from the European Union, we're going to talk now to the UK. The UK is no longer part of the European Union, so it has its own ways of coming up with new AI laws. They derive their AI law or AI Act from their common laws, such as the Act of 2010, the Equality Act, the UK GDPR, which includes data protection rules, and also the new Data Use and Access Act in 2025. That has also been able to update those common laws. So even though the UK does not have a specific AI law, it has been already using these tech or this AI for some examples are the Home Office. Here, the government department in charge of immigration and safety is using AI to detect immigrants and recognize their facial age simulation, as well as it's using AI to summarize interviews with asylum seekers. So imagine a computer program deciding your age, which can really change the way how you're treated by the law. Yes, it sounds like a science fiction, but it's happening right now. And it gets even more intense when we look at how the police have been using it on regular crowds. And they can sometimes mistakenly put people into prison when it's not actually done due to AI errors. So, the South Wales police case is happening in Wales, in which the police has ran over 60 secret trials using live facial recognition cameras over the past 2 years. As people walk down the street, their faces immediately scanned without them not even knowing about it, and it's about estimated about 500,000 faces have been scanned without people or not anyone asking for permission. During these tests, the AI has made mistakes. Eventually, a major court in the UK Court of Appeal, they were able to annul such act of AI and rule it off that the whole police program was completely unlawful. This wasn't only happening in South Wales, but also in the United Kingdom. For example, in London, similar face scanning trials in London were happening at massive public events like the Notting Hill Carnival and Remembrance Day services. Both in London and the south of Wales, there was a connection. The AI systems in both places were biased against women and ethnic minorities. Situation how technology is moving pretty fast, and the rules are struggling to keep up. So this leaves us with big questions about our privacy, fairness, and how we should actually trust technology in our daily lives. That's why we've wanted to interview citizens to see what their reaction was, if it has happened to them in any chance, and what they have to say about it as well.
I'm going to ask you some questions about AI implemented in the government. We'll start with some info talking about that. The UK police can point the camera at the crowd and instantly scan everyone's faces, including yours, without asking your permission. You could be matched to a database without ever knowing it. Do you know this was going on, and how does it make you feel?
Yes, and it terrifies me because I could be misidentified and anything could happen to me based off information that I don't trust.
The LFR has been proven to do misidentified people, and it gets it wrong more often with darker skin tones. Do you think it's okay that police keep using tools that they make mistakes? And do you think that those mistakes hurt the most?
Yes, absolutely. As someone who is a person of color and who is a darker skin tone, it scares me even more that I might be misidentified rather than correctly identified for doing a wrong thing. And I feel like it's very wrong for the police to keep doing something that just they know makes mistakes, and it's just really bad at the moment, and they need something to change.
Good answer. Would you feel safer knowing that a human officer was watching the streets instead of a camera scanning your face?
I'm absolutely not sure. Human officers make a lot of mistakes as well, and I personally couldn't give you an answer on which one is better. Having a human have a human judge me or having an AI judge me is just as bad as each other in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
In a country that prides itself on fairness, I was just another face in the crowd, until an algorithm decided I was a criminal. He said I was free to go, but I don't feel free anymore.
Alright, so we talked about other places handling AI. Now, the United States, if you're looking for one national big AI law used in the whole country, you're wrong. The US system is one of the most confusing systems in the world. It's a federal system, so each state has their own government and it has their own AI or not AI laws. But this doesn't mean that the government is not using AI. The government uses AI through the Department of Homeland Security. So it's an agency that handles things like border security, uses AI for something called the Extreme Vetting Initiative. So they use AI to screen immigrants, scanning massive amounts of data to see if they can or cannot enter the country. The government is also trying to keep companies in check using the Federal Trade Commission, also known as the FTC, that can step in and punish companies for using AI in deceptive or unfair ways. Even though we have problems going around us, we should also check out the map of the United States of how insane it can be sometimes. As you can see in these maps, some states like Illinois or Texas, they have laws that regulate how AI works, especially in ways that might lead to bias. Well, the majority of states such as Massachusetts, Vermont, Maine, Oklahoma, Arizona, Northern Carolina, they don't really have these AI regulations. This means that your rights and your protection from AI, they depend entirely on where you live. So the way how some states they have regulated AI laws, while other states don't have regulated AI laws, it shows that it's inconsistent for businesses to try to follow the rules, as it's completely unpredictable for them. Like in companies in one state, they have to be transparent about its algorithms, while another state, just across the border, they don't have to say anything at all. In the US, it's not one unified system. So there's 50 different possibilities of different decisions being made about AI in each state. This leads us to question about the college students from Emilio Sanchez, for example, or from families that are in the United States, how they handle the transition of different AI laws in different states. That's why we've wanted to ask different communities to find out about it. We decided to go to the community of the college community in the United States. From this, we decided to interview Ms. Ferrara's son called Zach.
Does the idea of AI being used to screen people make you worried?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's like a scary reality we live in which, we're used to human error and everything, but the fact that the error is not like kind of in our hands as humans, and it produces a level of uncertainty that is definitely concerning, yeah.
Okay. Second question, how do you feel about the fact that AI laws are different in different places in the United States?
I mean, I think already like the fact that laws are different throughout the entire country has produced problems and issues for a long time, like before the introduction of AI, but not having like a centralized, plan for AI and having laws being different in every state definitely is concerning, just because there is a lot of interstate commerce, a lot of like interstate businesses, and I think that it can cause like a lot of problems when coming up with like standard regulations with the use of AI. Yeah.
Okay. And the third question is, does it make you feel uneasy that there isn't one main law for AI in the United States?
Sorry, what? Makes me feel most uneasy isn't particularly that there isn't one like standardized main law for AI. It's like why, and I think that it's because nobody really knows like the answer or the solution or what to do with AI. So I think that it's just kind of like a product of the uncertainty that the entire world is experiencing, and even like the greatest minds don't know what the best way to handle it is. So I think that's what like produces uncertainty.
Wait, that's not right. I'm a citizen. There must be a mistake.
I'm sorry, sir. The system's decision is final. You cannot enter.
Personally, like I believe deeply like in human interaction and the power that we have as humans when we not only like work on our own but also collaborate and come together. So I would prefer having politicians.
Human, definitely human. Yeah, human.
Well, I don't think that AI running the government is a great thing, because AI is made by people, and people create errors, they create bias, so the AI can be very biased, and we don't, sometimes they don't even know how it actually works and how it gets to the answers it does. So it
Depends on the AI.
AI.
Politicians.
Politicians.
I would say politicians.
I would rather choose a politician.
Would let politicians run the government.
Politicians. Politicians.
Politicians. AI. I would choose politicians.
Politicians.
Even though AI keeps advancing, Emilio Sanchez high school students will still stick to humans in its government.
From Proposal 1, make algorithmic impact on assessment compulsory before any government agency is allowed to use or buy any AI tool. It must pass mandatory independent public test. And yes, this will slow things down and cost much more money upfront. But as the Siri welfare in the Netherlands proved, that the human cost of a broken algorithm is 1,000,000 times worse than the cost of checking the code before you launch it. Now, continuing with proposal number 2, a real enforceable right to explanation and human review. If a computer program cuts off your healthcare or denies your student loan or flags your face in the public, it should legally be handed a clear plain English explanation exactly why and how that decision was reached and happened.
Might be more administrative work for the government officials, as they have to check every document and they have to do the human review on the AI technology the government is using. So the processing time might be slower. But if a machine can change the course of your entire life, or it can affect some situations of your life without giving you a single reason, that is not a democracy. It's more an unfair situation. It's more authoritarian. This is tech dictatorship, and obviously a democracy is all about citizens having the rule of law for both the citizens, government, as well as technology, if we take it into account. So tech companies, they don't really care about borders. They use the exact same cloud servers, global databases, and machine learning code in London, New York, and Amsterdam. So these three global countries, they must sign an international agreement to coordinate their enforcement and maintain high baseline standards. So yes, the third proposal might be a bit complicated from a diplomatic perspective, as the UK left the EU in the Brexit referendum of 2016, and then finalized in 2017. But working through this political tension is the only way to avoid a race to the bottom where human rights are not taken into account due to corporate profits, and then there can be a chance that people are no longer taken into account for a government, but rather AI is controlling the government. So we want to avoid that by having this agreement. The strongest oversight of AI laws to the least strongest oversight of AI laws would be the EU. But unfortunately, its AI laws have been delayed. Then it's the UK, but its UK laws are not written laws, and they're the slowest ones. Finally, it's the United States with its laws with it being a federal country, it has some AI laws in some states, while in other states there's no AI laws at all.
AI is integrated into the government. We cannot let algorithms to decide our people's decisions or people's circumstances, as for example, immigration, welfare state, and citizen data. For example, AI does many mistakes and that we are not still complied to. We cannot let governments to decide AI regulations over their people. We need to let government know that people should be before and after the decisions AI make.
And at the end of the day, our group wants to ask this audience a question. We stand at a terrifying crossroad in human history. Step by step, we are being asked to hand over the keys to our democracy to a machine. A machine does not have a soul. It cannot feel empathy in this world. It does not have the meaning of mercy, and it cannot understand the weight of human dignity and our morals. When we allow an AI to govern anything that us humans have done over the past millions of years, we exchange our hard-won constitutional rights for cold, unyielding algorithms. We are replacing judges with code, legislators with data models, and leaders with predictive texts. What happens to your right to free speech when an algorithm decides your words are a system threat? What happens to your right to due process when a black box program calculates your guilt based on probability without a single human peer to look you in the eye? A government run by AI is not a public service. It is a digital cage. It is an automated authority that optimizes for control while stripping away the very liberties our ancestors bled to secure. If we surrender our governance to algorithms, we lose the right to protest, the right to dissent, and the right to change our minds. You cannot reason with a machine. You cannot appeal to its conscience. Once the system locks into place, our laws will no longer reflect the will of the people. They will reflect the logic of the programmer. Efficiency is not the highest virtue of society, but liberty is. We must stop the slow march towards digital authoritarianism. Let us reject the rule of the algorithm and declare with one loud and undeniable voice that humanity will govern itself. AI will not be a part of this.